Mr. President, I've got the director of the CDC on the line.
Hello, Bob. Hold the phone closer to my ear, Mike, would you? Bob, what the hell are we gonna do about this coronavirus? My kids are worried about me. Not to mention, it's giving my precious stock market the heebie-jeebies. And all my buddies in Davos, they say they won't invite me to this year's secret underground Olympics if I don't get this thing under control.
I'm sorry, sir, but community spread has already begun. Containment is not an option at this point. We're going to have to focus our efforts on prevention.
You mean like masks?
Well, proper hygiene is most important in slowing transmission, but...
Mike, get me my golden respirator.
But sir, Mother says wearing it in public would cause a panic.
I don't care what that creepy broad said. Get me my goddamn mask.
Sir, even Mr. Hannity said as much.
Shawnee Bear?
Yes, sir, even Shawnee Bear.
Shit. Okay, well, he's got a point, probably.
Mr. President, how do you expect the base to confront people in the street and call them a bunch of overreacting snowflake pussies if you yourself are wearing one?
Duly noted, my beady-eyed lapdog. Well, get me some science guys. On the phone, not in here. You think they could make me some tiny little masks I can hide in my nostrils? Oh, and like suit jackets that have Purell built into the pockets? That should do it for now. Get all the best guys. I'm expecting tremendous results, like now. Make Don Don a safe and happy Prezi. It's for America, Mike.
Yes, sir. Right away, Mr. President. By the way, do you have a Ricola? My throat has been a little scratchy lately.
The Born to Be Mild podcast.
Hey, hello, and welcome to Mild March Madness. This is March 8th, 2020. We'll be your Corona Control Protection Force this morning. For Ronald Cabuno, I'm Pete Crawford. Ron, it's International Women's Day. Have you congratulated any international women yet?
Have I congratulated any international women? I mean, I thank my grandmother up in heaven for making me, vicariously every day.
That's a congratulations.
Yeah, she's a wonderful Greek lady, or was.
No, still is. Let's go with that. Good.
I gotta tell you,
and she's international. She's not just international. She's like interdimensional at this point, right? So.
She's in the cosmos. Speaking of, did you know that Mercury is in retrograde?
I feel like it's in retrograde like every 3 months or something, and there's always somebody on Facebook reminding me that this is why you're feeling off. It's because Mercury is in retrograde, and I'm like,
well,
okay.
your spidey senses are correct. It actually seems, at first glance from what I saw this morning, that it happens about every couple months or whatever. So
it's very regular, yeah.
That's correct.
Why is it when it's in retrograde that it changes us?
Because it causes a little disillusionment and confusion because of what retrograde actually is. Retrograde is the appearance of a planet moving backwards in the interstellar sky. Mm-hmm. And that, for the ancient people really threw them off their game. They were like, what the hell was going on?
But we're not ancient people.
No, but we are ancient people. We are the descendants of them, and we haven't been able to shake a lot of what they've given us.
Okay.
And so that connection is far distant and removed as we might see from the natural
this?
World. Did you say I believe in this?
Yeah.
Listen, I believe in it in so much as I believe in religion. Actually, maybe even more so. I mean, I don't want to go into a deep dive on religion. We are going to save that one for another show.
Let's not dip our toe in that water yet. Yeah.
But I can say that as a person who really respects all religious attitudes, when they are,
let's say spiritual attitudes.
Spiritual, I respect what they're going for. What they're going for is trying to understand this existence. And I think cosmology and all that stuff, astrology, is pretty wild because when things line up, it is coincidental a lot of the time. But other times it's like, I don't know, are there patterns that civilization or energy in general has settled into over the many, many eons that we are not aware of?
You are getting really deep here. Okay.
Well, absolutely, because oh my God, I mean, I've had a lifetime to think about it. I'm almost 40 years old. I'm 37 years old here.
Yeah, you're
So,
younger than me. I've had a long time to think about it too.
That's what I mean, and I've definitely had a lot of lazy river afternoons, so to speak. And
Okay,
those
that's
things
fair.
come across your mind because one of my greatest things I like to think about is geologic time. And I can say that if somebody can think in geologic time, that they can put themselves at peace with just about anything.
Okay.
If you can put a handle on just how old this rock is and maybe just how insignificant each one of us are, it gives you just that much more appreciation for the fact that you're here at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I thought we were talking about International Women's Day, and now suddenly we are in a very different location with our conversation.
as my famed podcast godfather, Mr. Tony Kornheiser, would say, sometimes you have a Thursday show, and you just gotta fill. I feel like that's what we've got today, like, because it's just like so much of the same crap that we've been talking about for weeks.
So much of what's expected. And
yeah, and that's fine. And we do have to talk about these things because it is important, but, give me a tangent or two first, and I am all aboard.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm all about it. Yeah, so what are we talking about that we are always talking about today?
We're talking about, bare shelves at Sam's Club. And it's not just a coincidence.
Right, because of that whole Dos Equis virus or something, right?
Dude, everyone is afraid of the most interesting man in the world. He's coming and knocking.
No, the guy's gone, and I really miss him, actually. But not talking about him. But we're still treading down the road with the virus.
Right. And, there's more and more, and I just saw today on the news feed that the Mike DeWine was talking about how it's not if, but when the first case is going to be in Ohio. Right. And that's obviously happening because everyone is in a panic. And you have to just talk to people, and I can't tell you how many people didn't even have the facts right. Like, I'm trying to let them know, like, as far as I know, I'm not treading in the misinformation. I'm just getting the straight scoop every day and really not listening to the rest of the panic. So as long as you just kind of know the straight deal, you can deal with it accordingly, to the best of your ability.
Yeah. So are you saying that basically we're overplaying the danger of the disease, or are you...
No, like I was, just getting diapers at Sam's Club, and the one dude who's working the cash register was talking about how everyone was in a panic and how the news media was frightening everybody. And I was telling him, no, I don't think they were frightening everybody. I mean, unless you were listening to certain outlets, I don't know. Like, all I know is when I'm turning on the news, I'm hearing a pretty deadpan and informative recap of what's been going on, but I'm not watching the ones that have constant tickers at the bottom and everything's flashing and buzzing like a casino. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm just seeing, okay, here's the amount of cases that have happened. Here's how many deaths have happened. Here's what the CDC has recommended today. Now, do I hear about like some blowback about responsiveness and calling the CDC into question in terms of their methods or whatever, and how many kits are available? Yeah, I see that stuff, but I don't see the spin on that stuff. Like, I see those stories reported, but then I don't need to hear the commentary about them. Just tell me what happens afterwards.
Fear-mongering is what the news does, though, right? I mean, that's kind of their MO.
Yeah, but God forbid we could just extrapolate what we need so that we don't have to be in a panic is what I'm getting at. And that's why...
So you don't think we should be in a panic at all?
I don't think panic helps anybody, and that word alone should tell you that that's not a good idea.
I agree with that.
I think we should be prepared. Okay. And we should also understand the possibilities. So when we see things going on around the globe, there are varying degrees of infection and varying degrees of response and varying degrees of results, right? So if we're going to be the best, or if we're going to be amongst the best at handling this.
The best.
No,
America
really, though.
has not been the best at anything in a long time.
Well, it's tough because it's a balance. Like I said, an authoritarian regime is probably going to be the best at it. But
you're talking about somebody like China.
Yes, of course. But do they have the best technology? I don't know, because you got people coming out of the woodwork in the United States who are talking about how after SARS, they had coronavirus vaccines ready to go. But since the SARS epidemic, boiled down, they didn't have any more funding to go forward with it.
Right. They just, yeah, exactly. They gave
So
up
we
on
have
the
things
entire
that like
project.
are really at the forefront in our technology sector that might not be going on in those other places, who can focus on containment a little better. But when you want to talk about fighting it with science, maybe we are the best at it. But that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is we want to be as good as possible at it with, what we have at our disposal, which is not really locking people down until absolutely necessary.
I'm not sure that there's a whole lot more that we can do, if I'm being honest.
Well, there are, and you're really going to see, like,
what is it that you think we're going to do?
There's $8.6 billion that got released in funding, or at least signed to be released, in Congress this week. And that is going to go to a lot of things in terms of local law enforcement, I guarantee you, when it comes to, if you have to lock places down, here's your overtime pay.
I know. But the disease is just so contagious.
It is so contagious.
It's extremely tiny. It's like 1/100th of the width of a human hair. Like, it's extremely tiny. The droplets can enter through your eyes. They can go around the masks. Like, it's tough to avoid. And no one ever knows when they have it. I mean, you might as well be in a swimming pool just full of it and wearing your mask. How much more successful would that be? It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know that there's a way to avoid
Oh, you know what? I think
I
I was thinking of Italy and not California in the quarantine measures.
Okay, well, Italy is locked down now. So
in Italy, yeah, like in northern Italy, they closed all the pools and all the gyms and anywhere that you can be in public and stuff like that.
But that could be us soon, right?
Absolutely. Well, what I'm saying is that you have to look at all the measures that are going on and see how effective they are. And from what we understand, this is a pretty straightforward, contamination issue where it's just about keeping people away from each other. They're like, oh, we can keep restaurants open. It is in Italy, but you have to stay 1 meter away from each other. So they're trying things out. They're like, listen, all right, everyone has to have a bit of sensibility about them, that this is approximately the amount of hashtag social distancing you have to exercise when in public.
Sure. And it's like we said, a week ago, basically, for the most part, healthy adults are not dramatically threatened by this. It is our parents, though, the elderly, the immunocompromised.
Yeah.
These are the people that are going to be your 2%, 2.5%, 3%, whatever it is, who may be in a mortality danger situation. So it's not something, I guess, that I'm scared about for myself, but I'm scared about for my family. I think about it, and it's something that has become politically salient in a very, very fast way. With the way that Donald Trump has handled it and the way that the left media has responded to his quote-unquote mishandling of it.
If they're trying to scare you on another end, then yeah, if you're just an American citizen and you don't really understand the ping pong that's going on, you're being frightened from both sides, essentially.
Did you say ping pong because of your ping pong club?
No, fuck ping pong club. It went terrible this week. Nobody showed up.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like, I had a record turnout for week 2, and then nobody showed up week 3.
What
and
the
like
fuck
not
happened?
even my dude that I started it with, he hurt his back and he wasn't able to come. And then I was like 20 minutes late because I was dealing with the poopy
Forrest
diaper
Gump
with the
and
kid.
smacking it against the wall by yourself?
I have a ping pong table at home I can do that with.
Right.
No, I was looking for good competition.
That sucks, man. I'm sorry.
It was cool. Like, I was at the Y like yesterday, and I just happened to walk by the room, and there were like 3 dudes in their 50s who were balling out, and I was like, dudes, Tuesday nights, let's go. We got a league. Come on. And they were like, all right, maybe we'll see. So I might have got a couple more recruits, but like,
all right, you had a down week. It happens.
I know, and I will show up next Tuesday.
Your ping pong club will be fine.
Bell's on. I'm ready to go. Anyone listening, anyone in earshot of the Boardman, Ohio YMCA who's a member or can use 2 free guest passes for the year, come on down and get your ass handed to you on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not by me, but by you.
Absolutely, I will ball
I'm
the fuck
only
out.
sort of good at ping pong. It sounds like you might be a superstar. Although I would like to play you just
I was given
to
lessons
see
last week. I was given lessons to
how
everybody.
bad you might beat me. I don't know. But back to Yeah, back to the virus. I actually think that, was it you or was it somebody else who told me that this virus, the coronavirus right now, could be Trump's Hurricane Katrina that really kind of ruined Bush back in 2006 or 5 when that was. So,
Yeah,
because it could be.
ruined.
Well, it didn't matter because it was second term for Bush, but this virus couldn't have come at a more politically salient time. I mean, it's simultaneously exposing the holes in our healthcare, the ineptitude of this administration, and the conservative right's refusal of outright facts that threaten their position. Mm-hmm. Would you agree? Like, this is not good timing for Donald Trump.
He's going to have to show a lot of leadership, and he's going to have to maybe eat a lot of crow along the way when things aren't going right.
Oh, that's
and he's
not
going
a
to have
strong
to
point.
be able to show himself. What's that?
He does not like to eat crow. I don't know if that's going to happen.
No, but I mean, I've seen him turn a unfortunately disappointed eye to the camera and say, listen, we wish things could have gone better. They haven't. We're still going to be on top, all this bullshit. You know, I've seen him have to do it, you know, a couple times. And you know, you just don't want him to, in this political season, feel like everything is a victory and a loss. And I know it's almost impossible for him to do that, but it's so fucking necessary right now.
Him to do that.
Like, dude, we're talking about plague shit. We're not talking about like.
But he's out there saying his rallies are virus free. Like,
Is he?
How can you say that? That makes no sense.
That
He keeps
doesn't make
lying
any
and saying
sense.
there's 3 to 4 months till a vaccine. Or he said to use the existing flu shot as a vaccine.
Oh, nice. Yeah, didn't realize that.
He said all of these things. Now, I guess he has a base that's diehard enough that they're not going to abandon him for that, but, like, that is absolute absurdity. It's nonsense, and he gets away with
people
saying
will start
this.
jumping off the train once they see people in their own community who are going down because they're following the guidelines that he himself is, you know, espousing. I know it's a thin week, but we don't need to beat up on this helpless son of a bitch just because he's
We do.
demonizing
we absolutely
everyone around
do.
him.
I disagree so hard.
Do you want to talk about Super Tuesday, even though it feels like it was like a month ago?
Yeah, it's been a month of Tuesdays since then for sure.
My goodness. And even though it's been a leap year, I feel like we lost a decade in there somewhere. But many moons ago, we had Pete and Amy and Beto all help out Uncle Joe when it came to Super Tuesday. And he really wiped the floor and showed that the base was oh so formidable, as I might have thought, especially in times of great panic. You know? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, what do we do now? Like, there needs to be a middle way. This is ridiculous. And
A middle way.
you know, like an Elizabeth Warren, someone who understands the progressive needs and the needs for progressive action, but someone who understands the mechanisms and the old sloggy way of getting things done-ish. Even though she hasn't been there forever, she's pretty
And by that, you mean people who can appease the establishment Democrats.
Well, yeah, you have to reach a hand out to the people who are running the whole fucking system. You can't overthrow them and put them all out on the street like Bernie wants to do. And essentially, you can't get rid of lifelong bureaucrats and whatnot like Trump wants to do either. It's just not the way things run. This is a machine for the most part, and it's an established machine for a lot of good reasons as well as bad. And I just like I don't understand how you have to denigrate people for wanting to make a lifetime of political service or whatever, you know, as long as it's not, you know, lobbying or whatever. I don't know. But
Okay.
yeah, Elizabeth Warren is the kind of person that brings the old and the new together, or someone who's going to at least get the two sides to talk to each other.
But she's gone out of there, so.
But she's still probably going to be, you know, a cabinet member at least, or something cool, right?
Well, she has been the most prudent in terms of the way she's handled her dropping out, because she's not endorsed anyone.
Yeah. And
which gives her a possibility of being on either cabinet.
Yeah, totally saw that coming, because there was enough friction with the Bernie camp that wasn't going to happen, and enough political wheeling and dealing in her mind, and enough disappointment that she didn't want to, go with Biden for any reason.
Well, her and Biden aren't really ideologically aligned. I think both Biden and Bernie are in the precarious situation where they really need to get the women's vote. And they need, okay, more so for Bernie, needs to get the moderate swing vote. So they've got a lot to think about when they're looking at a running mate. I can't imagine that either one of them would pick Liz as their VP. I just don't see that.
No. And I'm not, and I'm talking about like what's going on right now in terms of the party. Like,
what are you talking about then? What do you mean? What's going on?
I mean, I guess we've got, I don't know. I let me see here.
By all means, enlighten me.
I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves in thinking about the eventual candidate. We need to figure out who's going to slog it out first, right?
I don't know that we're getting ahead. I don't agree with that, no. I don't think that's getting ahead. I think now is the time to start thinking of that.
Well, we don't know if Bernie's going to come out on top or not yet, right?
I don't know, but I don't think he is.
Okay, so you think that we're just going to stay and we're going to regress towards the middle and get behind Joe?
I think that we're still, unfortunately, at a place where the middle establishment Dems are going to control that election, yes. I do.
It was wild because I was listening to something or other. Maybe it was the Can He Do That podcast that I had recommended to you. It was the episode on delegate math.
Yeah. No, yes, I didn't get a chance to listen to that one, actually.
Dude, so good, so enlightening. But anyways, they were just giving the skinny on what a brokered convention can look like. Uh-huh. And you can come out of and they were also talking about the crazy 68 convention, which I would, commend everybody to go and investigate, because that is what flipped the Democratic Party around as to the current mess that we now know it, but it really solved a lot of the issues they had at the time because they had the wrong candidate up there because he was the status quo dude. But yeah, so I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about the possibility that you could come out of a convention that was completely brokered down to the nuts and bolts with what you would call a unity candidate that didn't even fucking run for president.
That is a little messed up. A little mind-blowing, actually.
Yeah, and so they had suggested the possibility of Ohio's own Sherrod Brown being one of the people, and my jaw just dropped.
What is your opinion on Sherrod?
Oh my god, I fucking love that dude.
I know Sherrod personally. He and I have been, we've been active. I have letters from him. He actually somehow knew my hometown, which only has about 8,000 people in it. He's like, Bellevue, Ohio.
Yeah.
He's like, I got the train museum and all the stuff up there. I'm like, yeah, dude, how'd you... really impressed me. I thought he's a great dude, and yes, I approve of pretty much all of his policies. So I'm
he's
a
a fantastic
Brown
general dude. In general, he's a decent human being.
He is. He owned the room that I was in. He was nice. He was smart, and I met Rob Portman too. If we're talking about both senators from Ohio, Portman was plastic, robotic, and superficial, and
Isn't it funny that his outward appearance and so does Brown's belie their actual personalities?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I have a picture with me and Portman, and I feel like every time I look at that picture, the look on my face looks like I'm just sad to be next to him. I don't hate Portman. He was nice, whatever.
Of course.
But Sherrod Brown was generally impressive. So I'm a big Sherrod fan. And I think Sherrod would be wonderful on a ticket. So
me too. And I think that he's just been a little tepid and not dipping his toe into the water for a little too long now. It's time for him to start taking action.
Yeah, now would be the time. He is a Rust Belt and a Midwest champion. So,
absolutely. That's a bridge candidate if I ever saw one.
Oh, without question. He's bringing in the union guys. He's bringing in the manufacturing people. He's bringing in pretty much all of the Midwest, and Ohio is a lock. Like, that is the guy.
And he's not from a big city. You know, he's not a Cleveland dude. He's not a Columbus dude. He's not a Cincinnati dude. He's like
no, he's from Dayton, isn't he?
He's Mansfield, I think.
Or Mansfield, yes, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, if you know how to connect with average Americans, you know how you're from Mansfield, Ohio.
It's about as average Ohio as it gets.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, back when I was a freshman in college, one of my roommates, I had two different roommates, and one of them actually said that he always thought that Ohio was a very good, like, small slice that would represent the entire country as a whole. Because there were big cities and different corners. There was a lot of rural people. There's blue, red. It represented like almost everything encapsulated into one little, you know, heart of it all, as they call themselves.
It is the heart of it all. So in college, you know, I went for design, and so a lot of the design at Ohio State was research-based. Places like Wendy's and a lot of national brands use Columbus specifically as a testing ground. Because they wanted to find out if, you know, the rest of average America was going to choke down this shit. So that's where they went first and foremost.
Well, it's very much seated, like, in the middle of the Midwest. It's the second biggest city in the Midwest as Columbus.
Yeah, well, now it is. Just, you know, booming. Boomtown. The booming cowtown.
It's a great city. Now, that being said, where it's relevant here is that it is so significant. I know it's always overstated how much of a swing state Ohio is, but it's going to be so crucial this year.
You know what? From what I understand, Ohio is just red.
You think so?
I don't think. I just... Well, all right, I guess
They were blue twice for Clinton and blue twice for Obama.
Yeah, it's done now. It's done now. The gerrymandering and the Trump slide with the blue-collar workers... is not going to be able to be resuscitated in time for this election, I don't believe. Yeah, I mean, Ohio is... I don't even think it's in play. Like, people are looking at Texas and stuff like that. More purple states. Virginia. Pennsylvania is much more in play. Michigan, Wisconsin, everywhere around us, actually, is much more in play than Ohio. And it's really unfortunate to say so as an Ohioan. Like, the liberal support, so to speak, because, well, all right, so Biden throws a wrench into this that could really bring people back into the fold. But as things stood, you know, a month ago, you were looking at just the big cities that were going to be supporting the Democratic Party, because places like here in Youngstown were already flipped, man. Like, Trump did it for a lot of these people, for a lot of these middle-aged white people.
Yeah, and that's big there because Youngstown is very union-focused. There's a lot of the...
well, we're an industrial holdover.
Classic Italian, immigrants and stuff like that coming there. Greek, Italian, all that stuff. You would think they would have a liberal backbone.
No, it's not a liberal backbone, and it's an industry, and it's a union backbone, and it's people who have gotten... But
unions are liberals,
It's
right?
people who have gotten effed in the A one too many times. So you have the steel union, or the steel industry that goes away, and people are reeling from that, but they're like, all right, at least we have our GM plant, and then that thing goes away. Yeah. And then the newspaper just left, the Youngstown Vindicator, after literally just celebrating 100 years in print. And you have people who are really disaffected still to this day. So you're going to have to find someone who's going to come to them with solutions. Maybe healthcare is one of them, but it's going to have to be way more than that. And it's going to have to be a unifying message that overweighs their anger and their angst.
Yeah, man, I can't disagree with any of that.
You know, and so, like, it's going to have to be a positive campaign for sure. And it will have to be a referendum on Donald Trump, and having a Biden candidacy makes that easier because, as we said, you can nominate a sock to run against Donald Trump, and people will come out of the woodwork just to make sure that, you know, orange person does not get another term. Mm-hmm. So that's what you have in Joe Biden is a semi-handsome elderly sock. And
Biden
that's going to work.
Sock.
That's going to work. At least I believe that's going to work, and it would work better than Sanders because Sanders has major chinks in his armor. You know, like he was supposed to turn out the youth vote, and that's been shit.
Yeah,
that's so fucking disappointing. Like I'm totally cool with Bernie Sanders. Like I don't like the fact, and I am like a lot of moderate Democrats, and I think I speak for a lot of people who are just like, wait a second, I like a lot of this shit, but I don't want to be left behind, and I don't want to not have a seat at the table during this fucking uprising. Like, I want you to listen to me,
right,
and I want you to listen to calmer heads and people who have been choking down the old system for forever for whatever reason. But like, you know, we want to make sure we're not swept away in the sea of revolution, I think is the only thing we're trying to say.
The sea of revolution being
the Bernie getting into
movement.
office and, you know, making things as socialist as he can when we don't even understand the edges of that. We don't even understand the bounds of that.
Sanders is a little bit old and a little bit too ahead of his time. Like right now, it's becoming more clear to me that Bernie's relevance is not going to be his own presidency, but rather the inspiration and the influence he's going to have on a movement. One that will elevate and elect a new, youthful face that embodies all of those progressive ideals and fundamentals as antiquated and ingrown thinking gradually is ushered out. But we're not there yet.
We can say that. We can say that, but we can also say that he is reaping the benefits of sowing those seeds and reaping the benefits of his own legacy right now because he's running 4 years hence. You know, like, he's kind of got that name recognition and that message recognition because his message has become more relevant in the 4 years since. So he's you know, he's able to run on that. And I think that he's a guy who someone said this week was running on 70s era socialist thinking when it doesn't really match up with a lot of today's economic policies.
Right.
So like, if you really don't have a way to pay for it, and if you really aren't going to tax people, like if you want to say that Denmark is your example, and yet you're not willing to lower corporate tax rates to what Denmark has, how are you going to make it work? Like these aren't comparable systems anymore. And you're looking at them as examples to bring to the American people when it's only half the message and it doesn't tell the full story. So, you know, like, we need to understand what socialism means. We need, like, I hate to say it, you know, I brought it up earlier, but we need a primer on socialism versus capitalism and communism and where he thinks we actually should be.
Right. There is no way right now in our current both media and political climate to actually inform people in a way that
there's no time for that. You're right.
Yeah, it's just not. Everything is communism to them. So,
yes, absolutely, and it's lumped right in. And socialism means communism.
Right. They're equatable. Not even, you know, they're directly the same thing.
Absolutely.
So I just don't know that that's going to work right now.
But that's all right. So that's the message that Trump's giving you on the right. But it's actually something that people on the left have to talk about at some point. And it's like, yeah, I guess we shouldn't have waited and boiled it down as like a night and day black and white comparison versus capitalism versus full-blown socialism until 2 weeks before the election, essentially. But that's where we're at, and we have to have the conversation eventually, like, how much of it do we want to do? What seems feasible? What are actual numbers? Like, we're not going to be able to pay for everybody's college and fucking healthcare, and I know which one I'm going to pick.
Yeah, it's going to be healthcare.
Fucking A. Like, can we start with baby steps?
Yeah.
You know, man?
I don't even think, like, I don't understand why people would... Last night I was with a friend of mine and his two brothers, and they were actually making... Well, not they, but one brother specifically was making the point that... having some kind of privatized healthcare, which we have here, is so much better, and none of the other countries have anything that good. Which is so ridiculous that people still believe that. Because people in these other countries, these people in Denmark or Norway or whatever, they're perfectly happy with their healthcare system that's been socialized, and they make fun of us for not being able to adapt such an obviously better solution. And I don't know how you convince these people to buy into that.
All right, so there's no convincing. There's really no convincing without proof. And you can't get proof without a test run, and you can only get a test run because you can't get a full overhaul.
Well, yeah.
Like for
there's
instance,
not going to be a test run. That's just not going to happen.
There is because you're not going to have the full you're not going to have the full Medicare for all. You're going to have the public option.
Okay, that's not a test run. That's a toe in the water. But yes, I see what you're saying.
All right, test run, toe in the water,
tomato.
Yeah. Right. So that's what I mean. Like yes, these places over in Scandinavia were formed at a time where their governments were so malleable that they were able to put fucking shit like this into place from the top down, and it was easily implemented, or much more easily implemented. And you've got places like, I think, the UK that offer Cadillac private plans on top of the free NHS or something. It was either that or Canada.
Not exactly. I don't think that's. But yeah, I understand.
They offer extra service to the moneyed, to the people who feel like the perfectly good service they're getting from the national healthcare, which everyone loves and they touted even at the fucking Olympics because it's that important, right? Like, if you need more than that, you can go ahead and pay for it and go ahead to your doctor with the cucumber water or whatever. That's fine.
Right.
That's okay. Leave that as an option. Do not take away private healthcare as an option, but make sure that the public option is affordable, covers as many people as possible, yada, yada, yada. You have to bolster that, and I think that that's where you would get people to really start taking a look at it and understanding maybe that a full-fledged turn would be better.
Fair enough. I guess, we'll have to see what happens because we're just going to have to convince half the country, to believe in exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think you will, but you only have that under a Democratic presidency, right? You would only get those types of things implemented under a Democratic presidency. That's correct. As constituted. Unless the Republican Party fractures after the next Trump term, or by the end of the next Trump term, because there's no way they would be able to stay together by the end of that, right?
Right. Well, right now, I think we're basically going to be looking at either Biden or Trump. And being that Biden is a little bit of a centrist when it comes to Democrats, to put it mildly. I don't know that we're going to have any kind of those revelations occur. So,
well, here we go. Now it's all about what happens at the convention, maybe. Now it's all about what happens as a platform in the general. Because, old Limp Sock Joe is going to have to get filled with a hand. And that hand is going to be planks that equal a platform. And that's going to have to happen sooner than later. And hopefully he will learn something from this race, is what I'm getting at.
I don't know that he's going to learn too much. I don't know. He's just kind of the option right now. That's really what it's boiling down to. I mean, everyone threw their support his way, except for Liz, obviously. But, I don't know. We're just kind of in a really weird election right now where I'm not pumped about anyone. But I'm definitely not pumped about 4 more years of DT, so I don't know.
Absolutely. And
there will be a lot more to talk about in the next several months as we watch how this unfolds, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Did you see that Roy Moore was trying to get back into the Senate? Or trying to get into the Senate once more? Mr. Pedophile?
Yeah. Well, yeah, actually, you said something about this, right?
All right,
Jeff Sessions. You go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, here's the skinny on this one, right? So Jeff Sessions takes his little Keebler Elf luggage and heads on down to Washington permanently as when he takes his position in the cabinet, and he leaves the Senate seat. So that's when we have Roy Moore versus what's-his-face? Doug Jones?
No,
and Doug Jones,
the correct
answer
is what's-his-face.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's crazy Democrat in Alabama man. That's who he is.
Right,
that's all you need to know. And the only way he won is because he was going up against the fucking devil. right? He was going up against a multiple convicted pedophile in Roy Moore. So he wins, but, once again, election season will come a-knocking. And Roy Moore wants to get back into the race. And so he was up against, in the Republican primary, Lil Jeff Sessions once again. Lil Jeff wants his seat back.
Lil Jeff all up in the scene.
Right. And so guess what? Both of them are getting housed by ex-Auburn football coach Tommy Tuberville. Isn't that rich? You have football in the South and then everything else. So
yeah, the SEC coach is suddenly jumping in. Oh, Tommy T. Been a long time since we talked about him.
It is, because, he was the one who Auburn wasn't as good as they were going to be, but he started making waves.
No, but he was the one that actually made them. I mean, neither Alabama nor Auburn was competitive for quite a while.
Yeah, oh my God.
But they both came back thanks to good old Nick. And I guess if we want to give Gus Malzahn credit, so, whatever.
I thought that was a wild story for politics.
Yeah, very strange. And speaking of sports...
Yeah.
What is going on with the contracts being given to Peyton Manning and Tony Romo as broadcasters?
What were they? What happened?
Romo's getting like $17 million a year.
Oh, nice.
And I think Peyton's getting like 20?
Peyton Manning?
Yes.
Is he in the booth now?
Yeah, I guess that's his
no
next
shit.
move. I mean, it makes sense. The guy's I thought he would go into coaching, but, whatever.
No, he's fantastic. I think a lot of people thought he was going to be, commissioner or an owner of a team.
Yeah, because he's really smart. He knows the game. He's a marketable personality.
He's a businessman.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they're getting paid like crazy. And the players are pissed off. They're like, why are the guys announcing the game making more money than 90% of the guys on the field?
Oh my God, that's such a ridiculous. I almost used the R word. That is such a ridiculous argument.
Ridiculous
because we're sitting
is also
here
an R word.
I think we can do this in terms of exponential pay scale. There are 10 million people in the country who can mop a floor. There are 10 people who can throw a football, and there is one person who can call that game.
Well, probably more than one, or that would be a really tough business to put on every channel.
You know what I'm saying? In terms of number of people as their percentage of the overall population, there's thousands of people that are the best of the best at football, and there are probably dozens and dozens of people who are the best of the best at calling professional football games.
Yeah, I would agree. They're both rare and, respectively for all of America or all of the world. Very rare.
And it's the same game, it's the same industry, so the pay scale is equivalent is what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And especially doing the color commentary. The play-by-play guy, the actual announcer, there are a lot of broadcast announcer type guys, and not all of them are going to be Bob Costas or Joe
unless
Buck.
It's hockey or soccer, because
yeah.
Whoa, listening to a hockey game get called correctly is amazing. It's like listening to a cattle auction.
Yeah, I can't even believe that those guys are able to watch a puck and keep up with all that.
And I bet if you go up to that person, and if you were just like, hey, Tampa Bay Lightning, and then you just started naming jersey numbers, he would be like, Marchand, Belleau, Jadot, he'd be like,
Jadot, Rasputin.
Off to Belleau in the corner. And now he has a centering pass. And it's like, whoa, you're really good at your job.
Yeah. I've been to hockey games, and I have a great time, and I never know what's going on. So
right. Well, put a little earpiece in for the home squad, and you'll be better off, much more informed.
For sure. So what have you got going on?
Well, I wanted to stick with sports because one of my favorite shows is now being canceled. Did you hear?
Oh, High Noon.
Yeah. Really, really sad about that because I thought that it was cool, and I thought that they were both kind of heir apparents to PTI in their own right. and
A
I guess
little bit
the
similar,
nation
yeah.
doesn't agree.
I would say that's, they're along the same lines. PTI is royalty among sports shows to me, but
Right, and if you asked Mike or Tony who they thought were their heir apparents, they would look
say
to
Heyman.
Pablo and Bomani for sure.
yeah, they definitely
And they
would.
did. They were like one of the first people they would call for fill-ins and stuff.
I love both of them too. Like, I am a huge. First of all, Bomani is a jerk, and he's the perfect kind of jerk. Just so arrogant, but he knows what he's talking about, and it's great.
Yeah, I think Bomani is probably my spirit animal.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're a jerk.
Absolutely, but I don't even see him as a jerk. I just see him as a really as a forthright person who is very informed and likes to have discourse along those lines.
Yeah, he just always seems like he's a little bit pissed off. But on the
Well,
other
he's
hand,
dismissive of Pablo, and he plays
Pablo
it up like
Torre
he's
is also just the perfect complement to that because
yeah, he's bubbly, and like he'll just keep coming up
always
and like
happy. He's always in a good mood, and the dude's brilliant. Like he's like a superstar. Like
very smart kid.
extremely smart. And I don't
Yeah.
like to brag, but I was accepted to Mensa when I was in college.
There you
And
go.
So I like to think that I'm also a little bit intelligent. But Pablo, the stats that he pulls out of his ass, he makes me feel like a dunce.
Yeah, minute by minute, absolutely. And I mean, talk about stats. Bomani's got like a master's or a PhD in economics.
Oh yeah, they're both extremely smart, both of them.
And it shows. Like when they're on the mic, there is just skill. And
Right.
especially with Bomani, man. Like I love his podcast, and I am so happy that they're going to continue. Like The Right Time is amazing. The Evening Jones is awesome. He's got real great, and obviously he's got a really good radio voice, but like they deserve to be front and center commodities on the network, on the mothership. And so I don't think
absolutely.
they're going anywhere. It's just sad that vehicle got canned.
They are two of my favorites. I really do like. I especially. Yeah, you said that Bomani is your spiritual animal. Mine would be Pablo. So
Nice. Well, he's effervescent. He really is, and he's very self-deprecating, which is great. You know, you always like to see that.
Totally modest, and it always feels good. So that sucks to hear. But they're both so I think talented in their own ways that they're going to find another avenue to make themselves be present in the public sportscape. So what else have you been up to this week?
Well, I saw a preview for a movie that is written by Jon Stewart, I think, or
Really?
produced or something.
I don't even
it's
think I
called-
heard about this. Jon Stewart
called
wrote a movie?
Irresistible. Jon Stewart from The Daily Show, coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, Jon Stewart. That's the only one I know. Just the one Jon Stewart. Wow.
Hey, I know another Jon Stewart.
Do you?
It's not that Jon. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
you know
It's a
what?
very
I know a
common name.
Jonathan Stewart.
There you go. He could be Jon Stewart to many.
Interesting.
Anyways,
What's the movie?
it's called Irresistible, and it's about them. I think it's Steve Carell, and he is some kind of political campaign chairman dude, and they go into suburbia, I believe, Ohio or something, or it was Wisconsin, I think, and they find some bridge candidate who is just a blue-collar dude that they're going to prop up as the next great white Democratic hope.
The Great White Democratic Hope. Probably.
Well, that's what it looks like. I mean, it wasn't a black guy. I don't think they meant it to be that
probably
way.
not
but it's
a movie title that would catch on. So, is this a movie you want to see in theaters, or one that you're going to wait for on Netflix or Redbox or something? Or
it's kind of like Election, or what's that one? Black Sheep, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be funny.
With
that was
David
an election
Spade
movie. And Chris Farley.
Chris Farley.
So I don't know if anybody's going to be rolling down the hill in a shitter or whatever the fuck happened in that one. But
yeah,
I hope there's a couple
I'll watch
fucking
anything
hijinks.
Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is somebody else. I feel like I've been dropping names like it's my job this entire episode. But I met Jon Stewart as well, and one of the funniest, most in control of the room people I've ever met.
And made you feel tall.
Yeah, he did, because he's only like 5'7" or something. So
Yeah, he's a small dude.
yeah.
No, he's amazing, and it's a shame that we don't have his voice in public discourse on a regular basis.
Yeah, John Oliver has been a nice replacement, but I'm sorry.
John Oliver has
Trevor
been
Noah,
bullshit as far as a replacement, as far as I'm concerned, because he's not there every day.
No, but he does do the entire show.
He's quality. He's absolutely quality. I love it. But
Stewart did 4 days a week, okay? Not 5.
4 days. He did 5
4.
for a while, and then 4.
Yeah, but he only really did the first 5 minutes with the stuff that Oliver does, and that was the best part. Nobody cared about the segment after that when it was like, here's correspondent Samantha Bee. Like, nobody was really that pumped up about that, you know? And then it was an interview at the end, and I was like, whatever, I don't care about your goddamn interview.
He was letting you know the skinny on stuff and how you might want to think about it as a cynical bastard yourself, you know, sitting at home. On a nightly basis, and that was really important during a lot of times. The nightly basis
was important, yes, I agree.
It's super important because that makes you a news anchor and not just a TV show host. Yeah. And that's what he didn't want to be because it was fake news, but that's what he ended up being because the real news wasn't getting it done for us.
No, and it turned out that the real news ended up being what he was doing for us.
That's what I mean. It was so fucking valuable, and then he went away, and then his replacement is someone who takes 3 months off at a time. I understand that if he wants to let us know about the cardboard box shortage in Venezuela and how important it might be to us, that might end up, you know, affecting our worldview by the end of the segment, but there are more important things at hand on a much more regular basis.
No, I agree. So, yeah. No, Jon Stewart is sorely missed.
Yeah,
for sure.
So apparently he wrote a fucking movie, and I'm sure it's going to be decent because he's had all kinds of time to work on it.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely interested. You know, like I said, I met the man, and he absolutely enamored me. Just a very, very charming and witty individual. So.
Oh yeah, and you can see just like in these depositions before Congress or whatever, dealing with the 9/11 survivors the first responders. Man, this guy is a genuine person.
He knows how to work an audience in a way that, like, he's not even faking it. Like,
that's what I mean. I don't think he's working an audience. I think he's just trying to get shit done.
He works the audience without even trying. Dude. Like, he owns them because he's being so real. That's, you know, kind of the point. His work is just him being himself. He's not only intelligent, he's not only quick-witted, but, like, the guy is actually he's pretty genuine about, like, how he feels about all of the things that he rails against and rails for. So
you're saying you like the guy?
I'm saying I might have a man crush on him.
That's all right. I think he's in your league. You got him.
Yeah, dude. I could totally get him. Mm-hmm. So I've been working out lately a little bit again.
Nice. Back on the horse.
Getting back into it. You know, you knew me back in college. I was quite a beast in those days.
Yeah, man. You were GTL back then.
Yeah, I was a little bit buff. I was a little bit into it. Mm-hmm. It was kind of my thing.
Did you tan?
Only about once every week and a half because I had psoriasis.
Yes, it's a yes. It's okay. I was just asking.
No, but it was for psoriasis. It was for puriasis.
All right.
I like Kim Kardashian and
it was
burdened
for psoriasis.
With. I am burdened with.
Get the fuck out of here.
You know what? You can call my fiance right now. She'll tell you that it is for psoriasis. Whatever, man. Anyways,
yeah. So you're getting swole again, bro?
Yeah, a little bit. Getting strong again. But I was doing.
What are your workouts like? I'm sorry, I don't mean to step on what you're asking. Go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead. No,
I want to know what your workouts are like, because
dude,
I don't know about. I suck at them.
Yeah, I know. That's not your life. That's my life.
Well, you know what? I really do. I love working out, but I love sticking to the cardio. Like, I love trail runs. I love swimming.
You did 20 push-ups before the show, right?
I did just do some push-ups before the show because I was feeling low energy, but then I was winded and I had to wait a minute. because having this kid and having this winter has had me indoors, and man, we should have led the fucking show with the fact that it is time change today, and I am doing this podcast with the window cracked, and it is Ohio, and it's 60 degrees. It's insane. Like, I should be doing this podcast from the park.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out. We should definitely be next to each other at a park with a picnic table and doing push-ups.
All right, so it might be breezy, and that might not be good for the mics, but I'm probably going to go outside and edit this thing as soon as we get off.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
No, but I mean, like, yeah, time change is great for getting back outside and getting me back on my regiment.
We talked all about how much we both love time change last week, and I still love it. I love daylight savings time. I love when
it should
the
be
clocks
permanent.
go ahead. It should be. It should be. There should be no daylight savings time. That should
How are
just
we not
be
having a vote
all
on
the
this?
time.
How are we not having a nationwide referendum on this tomorrow?
I don't know. And you know what's funny is like people that are against it, they're like, "Oh God, I lost an hour of sleep." Like, really?
I think it's hilarious.
That's your beef? 1 day of 1 hour of sleep? Like, on a Sunday?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Exactly. Day of all days. You should be able to recoup right then. You'll be fine. And
Yeah,
then
I think
for
you're gonna be okay.
the rest of time, you have a nice light in the evenings. Get out of here.
Right. Yeah.
Permanize it.
It's ridiculous. Anyways, back to what I was saying.
Excuse me.
Working out in my late 30s,
Yeah.
I immediately rolled my ankle when I was trying to do burpees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then I was walking around like a hobbled, I needed a...
Did you warm up, bro?
Well, I put both heat and cold on it, but...
No, did you warm up?
Oh, you mean before. No, because they're burpees. Nobody should have to warm up for burpees. Burpees
That
are
is supposed
warm-ups.
to be the warm-up, I understand,
Yes,
but like
exactly.
you got to be doing more dynamic stretches with less impact.
Don't dynamic stretch me, man. I feel like I'm old already. Like now...
You know those Japanese people in the park? Do what they do.
God, I cannot. I just want to jump into my workout. I don't want to
understand.
start having to do all this extra yoga stuff and making sure I
am a
pop
stretch
an ankle.
master nowadays, so I am such an advocate to people. I show them stretches and everything. I'm like, nah, man, you'll be really great. It's gonna help you with your form throughout your workout.
Right, yeah.
And it does, but no
I
one
don't
wants
want
to
to
hear
do
it.
that.
No one wants to hear it. Yeah, that's right. But
I don't want to hear
saying,
any more about it ever.
You're getting up there in the años, and so if you want to be able to roll out of bed for tomorrow's workout, you got to be safe for today's.
Okay, but what about you, with your nose picking and your hand biting?
Oh fuck, dude, I'm screwed. I mean, these are oral fixations that I've had since I had oral fixation. since I was able to put my hand to my mouth or anything else. Since I was, eating rocks at 2 years old or whatever the fuck. I love picking my nose and I love biting my fingernails and the skin around the fingernails. And I have to stop all of that, and it's terrible. I'm thinking about wearing a mask, not for the...
Yeah, you don't want to teach your daughter all those nose pickings, right?
Oh, I don't. I do. I make sure I turn away.
I mean, you don't, but you do. So...
I make sure I turn away, because, when I go after her boogers, it is a really dramatic experience, and she's a little traumatized, but it has to be done kind of thing. So she's probably looking for an easier way, too, and I just don't want to show her.
Right.
But yeah, so communicable diseases and open orify are best friends, and my habits are gonna get me sick, and I gotta change them. That's all I'm getting at.
Gotcha. I know we all have the bad habits, so.
But I think it's good that everybody's getting a little more habit friendly. Maybe not manic about it, but as long as everyone's washing their hands a little bit more.
I love it.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah, my God, I pick my nose every time I can.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate because I realized lately that if I blow my nose in the morning, I can get a lot of that out, and I don't really have to go up in after it. So I'm trying to be an
I like
adult
to leave
about
it up
this
in
thing.
there.
I do too, but I really, I'm out in society, and I'm tired of getting those looks.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to be a nose picker in our public forum. So
what do we have going on in the week ahead? What are you looking forward to, Mr. Pete?
Well, we've got the weekend that precedes St. Patrick's Day. Which means I might have a hangout with a friend of ours who named Mark. And we might have a beer. We might have a Guinness. We might have a Jameson shot. I don't know. So what do you have going on this week?
Well, actually, we might be making a little pilgrimage to Pittsburgh next weekend.
Okay.
The wife wants to have it started out as a girls' night, girls' weekend in the city, and with some of her friends from college that live over in
And
Pennsylvania.
then you joined in.
And then I'm like, you know what? There's a ping pong club at the Ace Hotel in Pittsburgh.
It always
Yeah.
goes back to goddamn ping pong.
You sound like my wife. And so I'm like, listen, we will stay out of your way. We're just going to, ride share with you there. You guys can hop out and do whatever you want. I'll take the baby to ping pong and we'll just ride home together.
One of these
And so-
days, we should just do a whole show while we're mic'd up and just playing ping pong for like an hour.
Oh,
and 15 minutes.
yeah. And watch the viewership plummet. Listenership, pardon me. Yeah, I should know my forum. Even though we should note that this thing is probably going to go to YouTube.
There is going to be a viewership. It is on YouTube, actually. But we don't have video yet. So
Right, so we are on YouTube, but we will soon be having our mugs up on there.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't wait for my ugly face. Actually,
You'll get to watch the nail
I'm pretty
bite.
I'm pretty arrogant about my own face, so my beautiful face to be up there on YouTube.
They're going to be like, what's he staring at? Why is he just,
Why is he looking at something like on off camera with like, oh, that's a mirror, he's staring at himself. Okay.
Does he have a teleprompter in his house?
Okay, well, I guess we have next week to look forward to. So
Oh, absolutely. If we don't have next week to look forward to, what do we have?
I mean, hopefully not the coronavirus. So
Bro, stay safe. Get out there. Enjoy that weather. I mean, beautiful day. I hope you make the best of it.
it's a gorgeous day. We're gonna walk around, and to everybody else, we will see you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode. This has been fantastic. Check us out on the iTunes. Rate, review. Make sure you say 5 stars, not 4. I mean, we've really been giving you the goods.
Yep, and we will be checking you out too. Everybody, take care.
Talk to you later.